Good morning. It's Tuesday, September 2nd. My name is Denise Cowell. I'm on Creative Memories Advisor in Ormond Beach, Florida, and welcome to our 52 weeks of scrapbooking. We are on project recipe 35. In the book, it's using Coastal Shores Collection. If you got the project recipe from my Facebook group, it's Staycation, and we're going to get started and look at my desk. Okay, so I have this created with Staycation. Sorry, I thought I had this all set up. Let me just reorg this a little bit. So here it is using Staycation. These are some things we did during COVID. Kind of different. Keep busy. You can see the Staycation project recipe. So you know the first thing that we always do, and you can see I changed the punch here because we were eating in one of these pictures, but I changed it up. So the first thing that we do is compare the project recipe that I've posted, for those of you that don't have the book, to the book, in case there's any changes you need to note of. And I think these look the same. So what I am going to do is I am actually going to be using Coastal Shores with the fishnet punch. So you will need a punch here. Any kind of chain punch will work. Of course, you will need your trimmer. You'll need two base pages. So in Staycation, I used light gray. At that time, there was a light gray. This one I'm going to use beige. You can see there's a little bit of difference in the color. So I'm going to use two beige for Coastal Shores. And then you need 3 designer papers. And you're going to use both sides of 2 of them. So designer paper number 1, which is the green color here, you're going to see is our circle. It's going to be part of our punch. So it's going to be, I'm going to use this paper. So this will be what our fishnet's punched out of, and then you can see we're using both sides for the circle and then some mats. Designer paper number 2, which will be the blue color paper here. So that is going to be some of these 2x4 pieces here, and then a couple mats. So this will be my designer paper 2. Going to use both sides of that. This looks like it's directional also, so I have to pay mind to that. And the third one is going to just be, you don't need a full sheet. So I had part of a sheet that I'm going to use, and that's the red. Just have to make sure you can see how the mats on this one, the mats are in this direction, but the cutting guide, I just need to get there. The cutting guide, has them paper being cut this way. So I just wanted to make sure this is how the mats are going to be so that I rotate them. Is that right? Going, no, which way do I want them? And I want my mats to go this direction. So we'll have to pay attention to that when I'm cutting this sheet. So let's get started. The other thing I forgot to mention is that you will need your circle. And so you will need your circle, the smallest circle with the blue blade. So the smallest circle with the blue blade. So I'll get that out here. And that's going to be for this circle. So let's get designer paper number 1. And first thing that we're going to do is cut 2 borders. So my designer paper number 1 is going to be this one here. This will be my designer paper number 2. I'll put that aside. So this is where I'm going to be punching my borders, and I'm going to have 3 mats in this circle. And we got to pay attention when we get to this circle because when I did this for Staycation, I didn't have enough paper left over because I had cut this first. So we have to be careful for when we're cutting that. So the first thing I'm going to do is to cut my 2 borders. And again, I'm using fishnet. Just line it up. Let me just see what's going on. Well, that was jammed and I had just used it, but it seems to be working now. I did bring 2 backup punches just in case, but we don't have any extra paper to play around with if this doesn't work. So let's try this again. I need to line up where I was. So hopefully I can line this up in exactly the same spot. Because if you're off a little bit with that black line, doesn't mean I'm going to be right where I'm at. And you can see it wasn't coming up. So I'm going to have to be a little careful. I'm going to stand up here. Hopefully I can get 2 punches out of this. What I did, I just dropped it on the floor to unjam it. Some people say put it in, oh, and I missed that spot. Uh-oh, I wonder if I can, oh, I see, I forgot. I'm not following the little triangles on the bottom. I'm so worried about it being stuck like that I wasn't looking at the little triangle. So let me just pause for a moment, come back, get this unstuck. Okay, so I got one cut. Not only was this getting jammed, but the paper was. I've got one last one to cut, to punch, and pull it out very gently. So I have my 2 borders, thankfully. And punch seems to be working better now. So I'm going to put that aside, and let's continue on to what we need to be cutting here. So I need 3 4x6 mats and 1 4.5-inch circle. So let's just do this. I'm going to rotate my paper to the fresh edge, and I will cut my 2 4x6 mats. I'm going to cut it on this side. So I'll cut 2 of my mats. Float your little foot to make it more sturdy. I'll cut 4x6, and then before I cut my next 4x6, I'm going to cut that circle. So again, it said this the smallest circle with the blue blade outside, and cut that right at the bottom. We're going to try to use, and see, so what had happened is because I had cut this off to be 4x6, this wasn't going to fit. So you cut your circle first so that you are not having enough to cut this 4.5-inch. My other page only had a 4-inch circle. Okay, so this is going to be 4.5. Make sure your feet are in so we don't rip our paper. Go all the way around. Always like to make sure it's detached. Don't always remember. Okay, so we have that. Now that's the only thing that we, everything else we need our custom cut, our trimmer for. So we're going to cut here now. We can cut this to be 4x6. So now I can cut my 4 inches. And you can see here how we wouldn't have had enough. I'll rotate that and cut it at 6. So we have a couple little pieces left over. We put those to the side. So it gives us our 3rd mat. Now this circle we're going to cut in half. So if you have directional paper, you may want to see what direction you want it to cut in half. All you need to do is just push up at the top of your trimmer, and that will be in half. And if you kind of don't trust it, you can see here I'm at 2 1/4. So it is in half. I'm just seeing if I like that. I think that is good. So I'm just going to line it up so that it's touching both corners. Should be at 2 1/2, 2 1/4, sorry, 2 1/4, and we'll cut that in half. Okay, so we have that one. So the next thing we do is need designer paper number 2. And again, this is for me is directional. Can see, and I guess it doesn't matter because we're going to have a piece here. So maybe it does matter because this is the piece you're going to see on that. So if I want my 4x2 piece, I'm looking here how they're cutting it across. They're using 2 of these. One's going to be at the top. The back's not going to matter, but this is going to matter. So I want my piece to go this way, so I'm going to put the top of my paper like this, because what I'm looking at is this 4x2 piece, which is going to go up and down, and that might not be right. my 4x2 piece. Let's just get a scrap piece of paper and let's just bear with me here. This is not quite 4x2, but no, if you can't, if you're a little unsure and you want it, and if you're really worried about getting things the right direction, spend a minute thinking about which way your paper should go. So this is how I want my design. And let me get a pencil. So I want my design to go this way, right? So I want my design to be this way. See, here's my design. This is how I want it to be. So if I look at the cutting guide here, it's cutting it this way. So yes, I do need to turn it to have it the right way. So we're going to cut this, and there's a bunch of them. So we're going to cut this at 4 inches. My little foot was up, so it was wobbly. So I'm cutting H. So that's 4 inches. We're going to rotate this and cut this at 4x6. 4x2 and 4x4. And see, this is the design. That's kind of why I think they cut that one in the middle, because there's that design that we're going to have. And there's our other 2 mats. So I'll put those with the mats. Out of this also, we're going to have another 4x6 and another 4x2. This piece will be extra, so you could put that one away. I'm going to cut this at 4x6. There's another mat and another one at 4x2 that we're going to use the reverse side of. So we'll put that over there. And this extra piece is extra. Okay, so for the last one, again, this is where direction matters. I don't have a full sheet, so I'm going to be doing some changing some things around. I need my mats to go this way. So this is the way I want my lines to be. So if I rotate it this way, this will be fine. We're going to go M and N. I'm going to cut M and P out of this paper. So I'm going to go 4 inches. And I'm going to rotate this and cut 4x6. Because I don't have enough to cut all 3 of these, so I'm going to move O and cut it under N, just because I don't have enough of this paper. So we have a 4x6 mat, and this is the correct direction that I wanted. And then we're going to have a 3.5 by 3.5, and this is 3.5 left, which it works out perfectly to use this scrap up. So that's P, so I still need to cut N and O. So this is going to be 4.5. And we'll still have some left over, so I'll put that to the side. This is going to be 6.5, and there it's right. And then I need one that is 4x2, which is O. I need that to be 4x2, so we'll cut this at 2. Rotate this, cut this at 4, and we are done cutting. So let's get out our base papers and start putting this together. So I have my mats, I have my 2 base papers, and let's turn this over. Let me move this here so we can see everything we need to. Okay, so what we have is we have a border. A little marker. Let me turn that over. So we have one of our borders here, and we have our second border over here. And this is like an ombre, so I may turn the colors around. Then we have our pieces K, O, and J. Let me bring this in a little closer. Maybe I can move this over more. So we have K, O, and J, which are going to go along this side here. And they're going to go roughly, right now I'm putting them at 1.25 inches. That's K, O, and J. Then we have our 4.5 by 6.5 inch mat. Then we have C and D, which are 2 mats, and we're going to use the kind of the cloud side, which is what this is out of. And then on the right hand page, we have a P and L, so we have a 3.5 by 3.5 and the 4 by 4 to make a double mat. And then what's going to happen along here is our mats are all going to touch. And that's why I wouldn't put down, oh, not this one. This one goes here. And I need my red one. Goes in there. So that's why I would get my mats attached first before you put your border on, because all of our borders are going to be different sizes, possibly for using different punches if you use a border maker versus a standalone. And then, oh, that got stuck. Put this back. And then what's going to happen is our two half circles are going to go here. So one is going to go here, and this is the reverse of that color. So if you didn't like your reverse of that paper, you could always cut out of a different paper, because this is the only thing from the reverse that we're using. And then this one goes right to the side of the paper. So I'll bring this one back in. So here's our two half circles, and that's the only paper of that color on this page. Now, if we go back to Staycation, they use this die border. I only had one of them, so I couldn't use it on here. So what I did is I just cut a little bit of the reverse paper and made a little seam here, so it kind of covers that seam. So if we look at the Coastal Shores, you can see here they didn't add anything. So if you think yours needs a little bit of cleaning up or something along the edge, and these actually touch right there, you can use a sticker strip. Let me see what's in the package of this one. And they maybe didn't use any because there wasn't a sticker strip, but let me just, they're bugging me, they're jumping all over. Let's see what's in the stickers. I know I haven't attached them. And see here. Oh, but you could put this rope, you could use any of these. So if you wanted to put this rope, if you're using Coastal Shores, I could put this rope right along here to kind of make an edge there. And then you can see what they did for their clusters, for the sticker clusters. They have one here on this half circle, one here on this half circle, and then they used this one also. So this could be your leave space in the middle here for your journaling. Here you can put a sticker there. I actually just ended up putting another picture, but I did do two here. Then I had this one though, because I really like this one. I left it. I didn't have a 4x6 picture to go there, so I used this one and I kind of put the title over here. So that's this project recipe 35. This one is, again, I like this, pretty simple to do, but has a little bit of extra with the 3 mats here. These are going to be 5.5 by 3.5. I actually went 5.5 by 3 3/4. This picture, if you want a picture here, can be smaller. Otherwise, I said you could do a title here. These are all 3.5 by 5.5. Again, I went 3 3/4 by 5 3/4, and this does take a full 6 by 4. So this is really good for being able to put peekaboo pockets there. So hope you had fun today. That was again a 35. Remember to like and subscribe if you want this project recipe. If you don't have the book, make sure you go on to my Scrapbook with Denise Facebook page. I always post my completed pages on that Facebook page. And thanks for joining me. Happy scrapping. See you all again soon. Bye for now.